This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
Are negative Google reviews hurting your business? Don't let unfair feedback cost you customers. At Webamax, we specialize in removing false, misleading, and damaging reviews so your online reputation stays strong. Our expert team works quickly and legally to clean up your digital presence, helping you rebuild trust. Visit us on the web at www.gowebamax.com. That's GOWEBIMAX.com, or text us for a free quote at 856-840-8343. Don't let bad reviews define you. Get immediate help from Webamax.
More rewards, more savings. With American Express Business Gold, earn up to $395 back in annual statement credits on eligible purchases at select shipping, food delivery, and retail subscription merchants. Enjoy the benefits of membership with the Amex Business Gold Card. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
Since you're new to H&R Block, we'll look at your returns from the last 3 years for any money your last guy might have missed for free.
I could get money back from last year?
You could. We'll find any mistakes.
Could have really used that 2 years ago when I dated that mistake for 5 months.
Don't leave money on the table. Switch to H&R Block and get a free second look review. Second look is included at no additional cost with the purchase of tax preparation. Results vary. All tax situations are different. Fees apply if you have us file an amended return.
Welcome back to the Skating Penguin Network, everyone. It is Robbie here again. Snail on the other end of the line. And it is a chilly day here in Western Pennsylvania. Sunny but chilly. And the cold weather just will not shake us here in Western PA. But it is the evening of Tuesday, February 18th. We are in the final week of this break for the Penguins as Four Nations gets to begin to wrap up. And we are going to talk the Saturday games and the Monday games here in a sec. But before we do that, Snail, how are things out in the Seattle area?
It feels like spring, Robbie. It feels like spring is here.
That would be nice.
It's sunny, pretty warm actually. Like I went on a little bit of a walk today, just around the block, listened to some music, and I mean I had shorts on. It wasn't a struggle. So pretty nice out here, but that can always change. We're in February. I'm sure there's many cold days ahead. But,
that is for sure.
I'll take it for now. And boy, what a treat this tournament has turned out to be, huh?
It's been actually way better than I expected. I think I had high expectations, but it's been even better than I really expected because these guys are going full tilt every time they step on the ice. And flashing back to Saturday here, the Sweden-Finland game was early in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about that in a second, but we got to start with the main event here. And that was the United States and Canada at the Bell Center in Montreal. And the puck barely hit the ice, and all hell broke loose between these two teams. Opening faceoff, 2 seconds in, 3 seconds in, whatever it was, Matthew Tkachuk is dropping the mitts, making an early statement. And oh my gosh, who was he fighting? I cannot remember.
Brandon Hagel.
Brandon Hagel, yes. Brandon Hagel were dropping the mitts. A little Florida-Tampa Bay rivalry there. But they go toe-to-toe. A pretty even fight for all that matters. So Matthew Tkachuk and Brandon Hagel are in the box. Well, on the ensuing face-off, literally a second later, Brady Tkachuk squares up with his brother's teammate in Florida, Sam Bennett. And Brady, just a big dude. Sam Bennett, he's a big scrappy player. He put up a good fight, but Brady's size just took over, and he throws him down. So all of a sudden, within 3 seconds, you have 4 fighting majors. Just a few seconds later,
Robbie, I got to cut you off here before you get to the third, because I'm getting fired up already talking about this. Because did you watch this game live?
Oh yeah, I watched it.
Okay,
I turned it 820 because I'm like, this game is never going to drop the puck on this game. But yeah, I did watch.
So were you standing up at this point? Like, were you even on your couch? Because like I was standing up in my home. I
wasn't that far. I was more like laughing, like, because I didn't expect it to just become completely unglued, like immediately. I was more or less like in shock because in international competitions you don't generally see fighting. Now, the rules are obviously different because the NHL's running this, but yeah, they just dropped it, and they were just throwing hammers from the opening puck drop. It was just crazy to see. You don't see many. I thought we were going to get a whole line clear at some point, but no. I was just kind of like laughing because it was just so absurd that it was just fight after fight after fight.
Oh yeah, and then sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but we haven't even gotten to the third fight. And that was one that I thought it was fireworks were over. I was like, okay, we got to settle in and play a hockey game now.
JT Miller, the puck is frozen by Jordan Binnington, just a harmless little dump in. And for some reason, he cross-checks Colton Parayko in the back. One, he was getting a penalty for that to begin. And then Parayko just dropped him, and him and Miller went at it. Parayko, a big boy in himself. There is a picture or a clip of JT Miller tried to uppercut Colton Parayko and straight up whiffed and almost caught himself in the face.
Yeah, that's
but
hilarious.
JT Miller was looking for a fight, and he got one. So this was only 9 seconds into the game. So 9 seconds, 3 fights, and a Canada power play out of all of it. Luckily, the United States was able to kill it. But the first 9 seconds, that building was, I know it was mostly Canadian fans, but that place was unglued.
It was. I mean, you couldn't. I don't think you could have. I couldn't have drawn up a better way. I thought it was just going to be a tenacious game. I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. But God Almighty, did it deliver something totally else? And I don't think the Canadians were looking for a fight. So good on the Americans, the Tkachuk brothers, and JT Miller for really adding that extra spark. And that, I was thinking about our old pal Garrett. Garrett might have passed out had he watched this game.
I saw a lot of people saying that it was ugly. It was not. It was a bad mark on the game of hockey and stuff like that.
I mean, soccer.
It was just, yeah. And the great thing about this being an 8:00 game is you had this leading up all day, and you knew it was coming. Everybody was fired up.
Yeah.
Both teams were coming off wins. The United States, if they won this game, could have clinched a spot in the final with a game to go. And they come out again. But credit to Canada. They shake off. They ride that momentum.
That McDavid goal was something else.
That was maybe the best goal of the tournament.
It was. It easily was.
Credit. McDavid gets all the credit for that. Obviously, it was unbelievable. Drew Doughty, the dude hasn't played like all year, and just puts an absolute tape-to-tape pass on McDavid's plate in full stride, just right on him. And McAvoy could have had a head start. It wasn't going to matter. Hellebuck, it didn't matter. McDavid, he was the best player in the world, and that's why. I mean, it was just the best player in the world making a play that only he can basically make. And credit to him. And I'm kind of almost glad they scored the first goal, because that building was just, you could feel that through the TV, how crazy that building was.
I know. The crowd pops have been crazy this whole tournament. Yeah. It made the viewing experience at home all the more better in my mind.
Credit to the broadcasters for like letting that come through too. Sometimes they'll tune down the crowd volume a little bit. Dude, it is coming through perfectly, and it did this night as well. But that lead did not last very long because our boy Jake the Snake,
God.
just again, Bennington has been not good in this tournament at all. And Gensel beats him. It's 1-1, takes all the air out of that building because that goal comes just minutes after the McDavid goal. And
Dude,
it's
Jake
1-1.
Gensel's so interesting because, like, I just want to chime in. If you look at the goals Jake Gensel scores, dude, he's not like a Jack Eichel or a McKinnon who can just like pick corners and blow it by you.
Really, no.
His goals, like, I feel like this is a Seattle thing, but he's like Jamie Moyer, the pitcher, who was just like,
Okay.
I don't know if you knew anything about him. He's like really.
Yeah.
He did not throw very hard at all. All his off speeds were practically an ephus pitch. I feel like Jake Gensel is kind of like a Jamie Moyer where he doesn't blast the puck. Like I never really see him even take one-timers. He makes all his money right around the net, and he has these just, dude, how many times have you seen that goal that he scored on Binnington scored by Jake Gensel, like even in big moments or regular season? Like I can think of so many times he just does a little putt that goes 5-hole, or a little deceptive, and it kisses a post and goes in, like on the ground or on the ice. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just saw that goal and I was like, man, that is such a Jake Gensel never really had the hardest shot, and it wasn't the most accurate corner picker, but he scores goals like that all the time.
Yeah, it just, the release is so lethal. It's just such a quick release. It's kind of Crosby-esque a little bit. Crosby doesn't have like a wicked slap shot or anything like that. It's just that release is just so deadly, and it gets by you so quick that you can't really react. And he's always done that since he came into the league. That's been his hallmark. Like you said, I can think of maybe just a handful of times I've ever seen him actually wind up and take a slap shot, or even he one time. Well, he can, when him and Crosby were really clicking, he had a very good, like, it wasn't a slap shot, but it was on his stick and off his stick within.
It's like a little half clapper, a little wrist, like quick release.
Just a deceptively quick release that the goalie can't really react to, and he still has that. And playing with a guy like Eichel or Matthews is the perfect compliment to him. He just feeds off those. He gets that pass, and he's going to blow it by you. And he does so here. It's 1-1. That's how it is after a period of play. And then Dylan Larkin with an absolutely saucy little corner pick on Binnington early in the second to make it 2-1. What turned out to be the game winner, because this is a Mike Sullivan system working to absolute perfection.
I know, it pisses me off so bad.
It makes you just beg that the Penguins could have good players, like a full roster of good players, because they went up 2-1 and then just shut the game down. Just a masterclass in Sullivan hockey. And it's a de facto all-star team, but dude, this is what the 2016 Penguins did. They went up and then they just ground you to nothing and gave you nothing.
We had good goaltenders too.
Yeah, we had obviously having Connor Hellebuck as a cheat code in a way. Just like Matt Murray was it was completely solid during that early part of his career, but a solid masterclass in this game to shut this down. Canada didn't really have anything, and if they got any look, Hellebuck just pushed it away. It was a masterclass in Sullivan hockey. Brilliant coaching job. It just proves that, like, we can be frustrated with them, and I'm not saying that the system in Pittsburgh is not stale and you need a new voice. But, dude, he's going to go somewhere, and they're going to give him a team, and, man, he's going to have them in a conference final within, like, a year and a half, if that.
I mean, I actually, we'll get to it later, because we got a couple more things to cover, but, dude, there's got to be a GM maybe working closely with him at this tournament, maybe not, but there's somebody out there that is just like, I think he could maybe get us a cup or a deep run. And, I don't know. It'd be crazy to bring a coach in at a trade deadline type scenario, but there's people are taking notice. Sullivan's been kind of Everyone says it. You hear everyone say it. Oh, Sullivan's a great coach. It's just Pittsburgh's kind of in a tough spot right now. Someone will fire their coach to hire him. We've heard it for a couple of years now. But this tournament, whose stock has climbed more than Mike Sullivan's in this tournament?
Maybe Eric Carlson's.
Eric Carlson is certainly a guy that I would probably say has. Yeah, Carlson or I don't know. The Kachucks were already at an all-time.
Zach Werenski, let's put it that way.
Zach Werenski is having just a hell of a year.
But getting back to Sullivan, yes, maybe that's why they don't fire him.
I know, because now I'm kind of like, God, maybe we could be patient and give him a team that he could.
Maybe they're just like, listen, it's gonna be brutal. You're gonna be bad for a couple years, but if you hang around, we're gonna get you a team again with Crosby on it. We need you here.
That's tough. That's a tall order. But maybe Sullivan could be sold on that in Pittsburgh because he's going to have international hockey where he can really flex his muscles.
Yeah.
And then he just, God, he's going to be like, it's kind of like a college coach who just sticks around for 2 decades and he ushers in new faces and just gets them to play. This will be like the Pittsburgh way. This is the Sullivan system. I can see it, but man, Sullivan, you got to think that he's probably loving this tournament because he's like, yes, remember this? He's looking at everybody, looking at me. He's like, remember? And I'm like, yeah I remember, Sully. It's 26 shades of 2017, 2016. God, yeah. His stock is through the roof. And yeah, we can get to other players soon. But man, that American-Canada game, I had no idea what we were in store for, Robbie. And that after that game ruined my evening because afterwards I had high blood pressure. I was amped up, ready to run through a wall, and I had nothing to do. I'm like, I'm not gonna watch White Lotus or something after that. Now, there's no way I can't just throw on some comedy and be I was like, I need to go run laps or something. This is. And it was a phenomenal. I could not believe that was the result we got for this Four Nations. Remember this? I think they've forgotten because I certainly haven't. This replaced the All-Star game.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Fest in pro sports, an All-Star game and skills competition, and this took the place of that. And it ended. There are people saying that this might be one of the biggest games in U.S. hockey history.
Absolutely, because it was again national stage after years of just wanting this and not getting it, to be able to go out there and not as just okay, it's the old guard and getting another shot. This was the United States going into Canada's house and flexing their muscle that they are the new bully on the block in international hockey. They just went out there, they flexed, they dominated. Jake Gensel ended up getting an empty netter to seal it. And the United States, after this game, because of the earlier result, had booked their spot in the Four Nations final. But they just went out there, they flexed in one of Canada's hockey cathedrals, and just took over that hockey game from the opening puck drop. Yeah, McDavid scored first, but the United States didn't blink. They fought back and eventually walked away with the win, just with a completely dominating style of hockey.
I mean, you got to talk about dude, they quieted McDavid. I mean, McDavid scored an electric goal, so quieted is kind of. But the rest of that was one period. The rest of the game was you could argue. I mean, I was pretty into it, but you could argue it was kind of a snooze fest because there weren't goals being. The horn wasn't going off in the Bell Center very much. No. They quieted Sid. They quieted McKinnon, who's looked like a different player in this tournament. McKinnon might be McDavid with the way he plays and the arsenal he has around him. He's the best player in the world, but McKinnon is there too. Let's not kid ourselves. McKinnon is if someone said McKinnon was the best player in the world right now, no one's going to actually really argue that because he's built different. He's like different.
He's like, you kind of saw it in the game they beat Sweden in an overtime. Like that overtime period, he was literally shooting the puck anytime he stepped over the blue line.
Dude, he was taking the puck, cycling back, and then just getting a full head of steam and dodging, ducking, weaving, and trying to snipe. I mean, cheat code stuff.
He might be the most terrifying, like, one-on-one play. Like McDavid, obviously, if you give McDavid a head of steam, he's going to make you look bad. McKinnon gets that full head of steam, and he's just going to go through you.
Yeah, I was going to say he might run you over.
Yes, he is so like
impede
I don't think people really realize how big he is as a person. Like until you see him on the ice, he is a big dude, and his shot is just unholy. Like his shot is absolutely insane, and when he's
got like Ovechkin power.
Yeah, he kind of does, and he kind of like Ovechkin's a big body guy too. Ovechkin. It can go through you as well, and when McKinnon gets going, it is unbelievable to watch because he is just an absolute force on the ice.
He is. McKinnon kind of welcomes contact too, where McDavid will kind of like dipsy doodle around you and make you look ridiculous, like you reach, I teach kind of thing. McKinnon, he like welcomes the contact, like he does. He never really gets hit big in the open ice. Like you saw McDavid get bundled a couple times in this tournament so far. McKinnon, he kind of welcomes it and he's ready for it. He's unreal. But my whole point in just glazing these guys is that the U.S. quieted this team, and that in itself is a feat. There was no Cale Makar, which I don't know if you want to call that an excuse for the Canadians or whatever. I don't think it mattered whether Cale was in or not, because the U.S., they just, like you said, it was a Sullivan masterclass. They had the game clamped down, and Hellebuck was playing good. Like, I mean, a lot of this matters. The goaltender's got to make the saves, and Hellebuck, you can say what you want about him in the regular season. He's a Vezina caliber goaltender and plays 65 games a year, but in the playoffs he has not shown up. And this is a quasi playoffs, and he was doing what he needed to do. But I mean, what does, we're Americans here, but like, what do the Canadians need to do? What like, after watching that game and they had an easier time in their next round robin game, but like, what adjustments, if you're John Cooper, are you making to respond to that game that happened in Montreal, back in Boston now on Thursday?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to what changes are made in this game. It looks like they're going to be sticking with Jordan Binnington in goal.
I don't like that.
No, I mean, he was fine. But again, even against Finland on Monday, like in a do-or-die game, they were up 4-0. And he gave up 3 goals in the third period, made them sweat it out for a little bit until they were able to get an insurance marker again. And he just wasn't great against Sweden in the opener. I'm not saying they have great options, but like Aiden, at some point you would have thought they would have at least given Aiden Hill a shot. They left Logan Thompson at home. It's just, very, very concerning. They will have Cale Makar back for the championship game, but is Makar enough? I'm not so sure. Not based on the way the United States played that game. But, I mean, you're not going to ever be like, oh, well, it's only Cale Makar. Obviously, a all-world defenseman in of himself. There's word that Quinn Hughes might make an appearance on Thursday.
Oh, my God. Have you seen that meme of, like, what they're doing to Jake Sanderson?
Which one? There's been a couple.
Oh, it's just it's Will Ferrell in that movie in the bed where they're like,
oh, okay, yeah.
And they're like, he's got a broken leg, and they're just like beating his broken leg and like hitting him while he's in the hospital bed, and it's just like everyone like it's JT Miller to Jake Sanderson to get.
Well, somebody said they're gonna bring in Tanya Harding with a lead pipe and have her.
Oh God!
Hang out in the hall. I just said that he's going to go to practice tomorrow,
That's
and
kinda dating
Mike Sullivan's
ourselves.
just going to be like, take as many clappers at Jake Sanderson's ankle as possible.
Yeah, Jake's like scratching his head at practice. He's like, God, he's kind of leaving me out here longer than everyone else during this specific
They're
drill.
just going to be like, here, listen, man, all you need to do is go around and lick every door handle in Boston for
Yeah,
like the next
exactly.
36 hours. Just, don't just, you want to make out with some people on the street that look like they might be ill. Don't feel bad about it. Just that person that wouldn't finish their beer, feel free to finish that beer.
Yeah, in fact, I'll bring it over to you.
Yeah. Yeah, just a little gamesmanship to go a long way. But no, quickly, the other game on Saturday, Finland beat Sweden in a pretty entertaining game in overtime. Mikael Granlund, we talk about a guy that really, again, he's already been traded, so he's not going to get traded again. Has had a really good tournament. Mikael Granlund won this game in overtime. Erik Karlsson scored in this game. Erik Karlsson's been absolutely fantastic. Maybe the best he's played since he was traded to the Penguins a year and a half ago. He's been playing
nice one, Dubas.
Incredible hockey. Patrick Laine, good to see Laine back out there. He had 2 assists this game.
Yeah.
But this sets up a situation now where there was a lot riding on the early Monday game between Canada and Finland, and the Canadians weren't leaving much doubt early in this one. They raced out to a 3-0 lead. Rupe Hintz had maybe the most disastrous turnover I've ever seen. Just handed it right to Connor McDavid, of all players. It's 1-0 early. They add 2 more in the first, and they make it 4-0. But Finland, Mikael Granlund, again, scores 2 goals. McKinnon has 2 goals in this game with an assist from Crosby. And right as the butts were starting to get clenched, Crosby with a very aggressive and physical play at the red line to force a turnover, and then he gets the puck back and buries it. Crosby's been absolutely fantastic in this tournament as well. He has 5 points in 3 games. Can't ask much more for a guy that looks like he's playing hurt a little bit. But yeah, I think there's definitely some signs.
There's something wrong with him.
Yeah, it's an upper body. I would definitely be shocked if he's in the lineup Saturday when the Penguins are back in action, which will surely not have anybody making any wild takes whatsoever. But Canada, with this win, books their spot in the final with the United States on Thursday. Later in the evening, Sweden wins 2-1 over the United States. The United States was without Matthew Tkachuk. He did not play in this game after taking a bump against Canada. Chris Kreider comes in, and then Charlie McAvoy, who was in the hospital on Tuesday with a infection stemming from an upper body injury, they said. Jake Sanderson came in for him. Chris Kreider scored in this game, but Sweden scores twice in the first period to win 2-1. Samuel Ersson, who I think we made a joke about before this tournament, played the game of his freaking life in this one.
It hasn't been a good go for him in Philadelphia, but he played great. I mean, I think he's a good goaltender, but he's just on a bad team.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. During tax season, your personal info travels to a lot of places. Between payroll, your tax consultant, and the IRS. If your W-2 gets exposed, that's just the ticket for identity thieves. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
That's just
I think he's probably a fine goaltender. But yeah, I mean, he was good on this day. They win 2-1, but all the talk is going to be Canada, United States part 2 on Thursday night at TD Garden in Boston. I mean, yeah, it's going to be a wild show. Everybody's going to be tuning in. Over 10 million people in North America watched the first go around. It's going to rival that number, if not exceed that number, on Thursday night. Almost 5 million just in the United States alone. It's what everybody wanted. It's what we're going to get. And yeah,
I mean, dude, I had people hitting me up that don't even watch hockey that were like, "Did you watch that game with the Americans and the Canadians?" And I was like, "No shit." But yeah, did you watch it? And they're like, no, maybe they did. Some of them said they didn't watch, but it snuck into their like TikTok timeline or like their Twitter feed.
Yeah.
And they have to check it out just to see what's going on with this game. And by then the fireworks might have already kind of been over with. But I mean, this is setting up to be like, I mean, I think, Robbie, I can speak. I should only speak for myself, but I think that the general consensus was we were going into this with almost no expectations of anything great, and we were going to experience must-watch television, not just for hockey fans, but I'd say sports fans in general right now. Like if you like Olympic hockey, if you like international competition, and if you like, I don't know. It's just I just think that it's setting up to be one of those where like somehow Gary Bettman is just like, I mean, everyone's thanking him for this tournament, and he finally lets international competition resume with the NHL players, and people are just like congratulating him. I mean, they've done a great job with marketing this so far, and there's no way they knew it would be like this. Like I do not buy it for a second that Bettman's sitting there being like, I knew this is how it was going to be. Like,
no,
he'll say the players have delivered. I think it's just one of those things that maybe some of these players didn't even know it was going to turn out like this. And then once they put that jersey on, it's just, it's a different feeling. It's a different type of game. And yeah, it's must watch television. Like this is going to be, I guess I would be surprised if it tops that first game, that round robin game. But I will say that like it's setting up to be like maybe like the first or the second biggest game of the year so far, hockey wise.
Yeah, they said that this was, at least in the United States, this was the most non-watched Cup final game in like 12 years.
Oh, the most watched non-Cup final game?
Yeah, in like 12 years or something like that. Yeah,
that's
so
crazy.
it's gonna be massive. Obviously, TD Garden. It's on home ice this time, so Gary Bettman's gonna say that, oh, this was always the plan. It was gonna be this intense. You didn't know. You had no idea. These dudes have been playing. Most of them are approaching 60 games already this year. It's not the Olympics. It's not even a World Cup of hockey, which has been played before. It's a completely made-up tournament with 4 teams. But all credit in the world, dude. Those guys put that jersey on, and it was 0 to 60 as soon as that puck dropped. They were just going and did not stop.
And I think that it's kind of come back to bite the Americans a little bit, because we should touch on the health of the U.S. team right now.
They're beat up.
They're really beat up. I mean, McAvoy, the infection, you got to think he has like staph infection or something, like somewhere like.
I don't know what upper body injury. Like you'd say it came from an upper body injury. Maybe it was something previous. Did
he get cut? Like, did he get a cut? Maybe, and the cut gets. I just think infection. That's scary. Like,
yeah,
is it like
when you're in the hospital? Yeah.
Yeah, like I've had staph infection, and like I know it can get bad. It never got bad for me, but I know that's one of those things that you do go to the hospital for staph, whether it's a quarter-sized thing on your foot, or if it's like something somewhere that gets bigger and worse, and it can really turn ugly. So it is interesting that's what it was, because you just think the way he was playing, you're like, maybe he like tore a muscle or like in the pec or something. But you got him, and then they haven't talked much about Trocheck, but he had something that got him in the hand or wrist or something like that. He was laboring. And then you've got, of course, Quinn Hughes might be making his appearance, but I wouldn't hold my breath because another defenseman has to get injured.
Yeah.
And then you've got the Tkachuk brothers. The Tkachuk brothers are current. Like Brady didn't finish the last game they played, and Matthew Tkachuk didn't play the last game that he played in. And then Austin Matthews, who's had something going on with him all season, on and off. I think he went to Germany to try to get it figured out. He's trying to get himself going. And yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you saw, I don't know if you watched that last that US game, the one that they lost. it was without those Kachuk brothers running around out there. You see the impact those guys have, and the McAvoys and all of that. And it's like, man, it's not going to be the same game if all those guys are out.
No, and it sounds like at the very least the Kachucks are going to play. Austin Matthews is expected to play. Obviously, we'll wait and see on the defense. At worst, it is Jake Sanderson back in the lineup.
Great defenseman, but he's not Quinn Hughes.
No, obviously not Quinn Hughes. Not at all Quinn Hughes. But yeah, so we'll see what the status is for these guys. We'll probably know more. That or Sullivan's just going to play it really close to the chest, which would not be surprising at all. But it does look like the United States will be about as full strength as possible. But Canada looks like they're at full strength. Makar played on Monday, so I think Makar was just sick, so all signs point to him obviously playing. And it should be full steam ahead for both these teams, and TD Garden will be rocking.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very intense atmosphere. I don't think it'll start the same way as the first game did.
No.
But I mean, I don't know if you heard the videos of like the refs were mic'd up for that game. Even the refs were like amped up when all that started unfolding, and
they appreciated it.
They did. They were definitely like, man, that was wow. That was
something else.
That was incredible. But so we'll see what happens on Thursday night. But it should be a great hockey game.
It should, and it will. And even if it it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, sometimes the Super Bowl out of like the playoffs is sometimes the worst game that's played, or even in like the Stanley Cup playoffs. Like sometimes you get the best matchups in like the first couple of rounds, and then the Stanley Cup final is like somewhat of a dud. It happens sometimes. I wouldn't be super shocked if it happened this time, but they set the table for it's must-watch TV. Like I said, I think that whether you're a hockey fan or not, it's something that you might want to turn into. Robbie, I was going to ask you, after this tournament with the fireworks, we saw, the European teams, just because it's in North America, I kind of feel for them a little bit. They just weren't going to get the viewership, kind of the same storylines that the Americans and Canadians were going to get.
Yeah.
But encompassing this whole tournament, I kind of brought it up about a few minutes ago and just said that Sullivan's stock may have never been higher. And you brought up Carlson's stock, but dude, Rickard Rakell was in this tournament, and with the season Rickard Rakell's been having, and yeah, I'm a homer. I got to turn this into it. We're a Penguins podcast. I got to bring it back to the Penguins.
Yeah,
dude, Rakell's stock might not ever have been higher in his entire career. Like the season he's having on a bad team, Penguins being where they're at in the standings, making it to Team Sweden, having a pretty good tournament. Dude, what do you think this tournament going forward here is? Do you think this tournament is going to have an impact after this tournament's over? For the trade deadline is in like a few weeks.
Yeah.
Like, do you think this tournament is going to, like, are we good? Could we see Rakell maybe be dangled out there for a big package? Because you can't guarantee Rakell will ever have a season like this again. And if a team is horny enough for him, you might be able to get just a big package for this guy right now.
Yeah, I think he was going to be dangled out there regardless if he played in this tournament or not, the way his season was going.
Sure.
And yeah, it's going to take a big package to get him. And if it comes along, I think Kyle Dubas is going to obviously pick up the phone. And it's all going to depend on what's offered. And rightly so. He's earned all the praise he's gotten this year. He's earned his spot playing in this tournament. And it'll be really interesting to see, not just with Rakell, but who else could command a bit of an increase in trade value. But if we're focusing on Rakell, I think that stock was going to be high regardless of what he did at Four Nations. And if that package comes through and it is too good to pass up, as much as I would hate to see Rakell go, because I think he's obviously had a great season. He's a great player. sometimes when you're in the Penguin situation in terms of wanting to rebuild, if the team gives you the right package, you can't really say no to it. You're trying to rebuild that farm system. If somebody comes calling with a coup, you go through with it. As much as I love Raquel, I just think it's a business. And the end, hockey's a business, and you got to make the smart business decision in this case. And I think if the right price, the right package comes along, you make the deal.
I agree. I think that we've talked on here before, back and forth a little bit. I'll say, kind of playing, just not really having the cojones to really put a stake in the ground where I've stood with it. But at times, I'm like, if you want to make the playoffs, you got to keep Raquel around. And then there's been times where they are looking like our predictions at the beginning of the year, where it's like, yeah, this team is maybe at or a little bit worse than we thought. There's no point in keeping a guy like Raquel around who at his age, where you could probably get a decent package, but with the season he's having, and after this tournament, I'm a little bit like, you might want to sell high. I'm not a guy who plays the stocks, but I think this is one of those situations where you want to talk about filling the cupboards and getting probably some good young players back in a deal. There's some teams that are looking to really load up for this run. I would say out west probably more than the east, and if you can find a dance partner with someone who's got what the Penguins are looking for, roster ready player, a good prospect, and maybe could you get a young prospect and a first round pick for Raquel maybe?
I mean, the way that teams can be desperate at the trade deadline, I don't see why you couldn't get at the very least some starting. Obviously, Kyle Dubas loves his picks, but if a guy that has term like Raquel, I think you're going to have to get a roster player in return, or a guy that is younger and right on the cusp that's going to be an impact player. I think that, with that term, it's not a rental. You're going to have to, if you're going to want to trade for Raquel, you're going to have to come with the price is going to be high, and you're going to have to meet it, because Kyle Dubas really has all the leverage in this situation, because he doesn't have to trade Raquel. He's not in it's not like a Jake Gensel where he could lose him for nothing in the summer. So if you want Raquel, you're going to have to pay up, and Kyle Dubas has every right to say no unless his price tag is met.
100%. And I know we're not a Vancouver Canucks podcast, but dude, what's going on with Elias Pettersson? That guy had 0 points.
He was bad. He was like invisible.
10 minutes a night.
Yeah, he was invisible for this tournament. There was guys on this team, on the Swedish team, and Sweden had a really good tournament. They didn't lose in regulation. Unfortunately, they won't get to keep going. But for a team that played pretty much as well as Sweden did for the most part, they're arguably their most important player, their best player, their biggest name, was completely invisible. He played a team low against the United States. I don't even think he hit 10 minutes. Guys like Jesper Bratt were clearly better players.
Yeah, that guy's nasty.
In this tournament. I mean, Jesper Bratt, he didn't really need a coming out party, but
no, he kills the Penguins every time.
Yeah. But like, if you look at this roster, like guys that played better than Joel Eriksson Ek, I thought had a fantastic tournament.
Dude, that guy is a force.
Adrian Kempe, I think, was maybe their best player in this tournament.
Probably
Kempe
clutch.
All over the place. Willie Nylander was good. Lucas Raymond, I mean, the dude's a stud. He kills the Penguins every time they play too. This is a very good team that in a longer tournament, like an Olympics, I think could be a real medal threat. And let's be honest, they were a medal threat in this too if a couple bounces go their way. But I mean, overall, Sweden, I think all four of these teams are going to compete for a medal in the Olympics next year. They're all going to be there. It would not at all surprise me if this is our final four come Italy next February. But a long time till then. But other than that, like, Elias Pettersson was just bad. I mean, there's no like sugarcoating it. He was just invisible for large chunks of this tournament.
Talk about stock falling after this one. It's like, if you're in Vancouver, are you possibly wondering if you traded the wrong guy?
I mean, that JT Miller contract's so bad.
It is. God, you're right. It's
just
not
like
black and white.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get out of that, like, okay, in the short term, maybe JT Miller would have been the right player to keep. But if you can escape that contract, get good value for JT Miller, I think you swallow the pain in the short term for a better long term. Because again, JT Miller's 32 years old. The style he plays is going to be harder on the body than like an Elias Pettersson, who's like 6 years younger to begin with.
Yeah.
So, no, it wasn't a good tournament for him at all. And international hockey should be where he flourished. But again, this wasn't IIHF international hockey. This was NHL international hockey. Next year, it's not quite as physical. The ice is bigger. He might flourish more in a international style than a North American style. So,
which is a polite way of saying he's kind of soft.
He is soft. I mean, he is a little bit softer. He's not a JT Miller physical player. But again, there's guys on this team though that, I mean, Bratt, Eriksson Ek, Kempe, Nylander, Lucas Raymond, dudes that all are from Sweden, the same nationality, and do not come off as soft at all. I mean, Eriksson Ek is a very large human.
Dude, they're back at Ekholm. Ekholm is nasty. Like
Ekholm actually, again, he's not going to get traded because he's in Edmonton and they need him. He may have been, again, he's not a goal scorer, may have been the best defenseman in this tournament so far. Him and Carlson actually are the perfect pair. Like if you could get him to Pittsburgh, I wouldn't trade Erik Karlsson because he allows Carlson to do so much. And Ekholm was, I think, the best defenseman in this tournament so far. He was unbelievable in the games he played.
Like, yeah, he's like Marcus Pettersson wishes he was Ekholm. Like steady Eddie, stay-at-home defenseman with a ton of bite. He will two-hand you across the laces. And he can actually sprinkle in a little bit more offense.
He can shoot the puck.
All these years, he was kind of hidden in Nashville. The Penguins fans know because when they played them in the Stanley Cup final, the Nashville's decor was what was going to win. They were like the Legion of Boom, but could score like the Seahawks had like that one year. Like they had God, he's been gone a while now. I don't know if he's retired or not, but that Ellis guy was unreal.
Ryan Ellis was in Philly last I checked.
Ryan Ellis was a great defenseman. PK Subban. Then they had Ekholm, and they had what is his name? I'm blank. It's not. He was kind of. Was it a name like Ekholm? Ekholm. I'm blanking.
Who?
The Predators decor that year. Yeah, but Ekholm was like stuck behind a bunch of like big name defensemen.
Yeah, which is why he eventually. Well, they were kind of rebuilding a little bit too, but like I'm trying to think, it was Subban, Ekholm, Yossi, Ellis.
And did they have Suter or was he in Minnesota? He was in Minnesota.
He was gone by then. Yeah.
I'm kind of curious who else was on that decor for the Predators. But anyways, my point was that Ekholm was kind of hidden amongst a very solid decor, and when he got out of Nashville and like. His big coming out party, I think, league wide was when he went up into Edmonton. He's exactly what that team needed.
Oh, yeah. He's perfect for just anchoring that Edmonton blue line that had been so suspect for so many years. So it worked out well for him and the Oilers in general. And he really looked fantastic in these 3 games that Team Sweden played. He was a perfect complement to Erik Karlsson. And, yeah, if you could get him in Pittsburgh, I wouldn't even consider trading Karlsson because he allows Karlsson to truly play the game that Erik Karlsson's meant to play. And he was kind of like the Brian Dumoulin to Chris Letang's all those years. He was kind of that is where he kind of fell in, and he's been fantastic. To me, the best defenseman in this tournament so far, and really have a nice coming out party since going to the Oilers.
Dude, 100%. But just quickly moving away from the World Cup of Hockey, which we don't really have much news to talk about as far as Penguins fans go. I just wanted to touch. See, Drew O'Connor got re-signed up in Vancouver, 2 years, $2.5 million.
Yeah, I do believe I saw that. Marcus Pedersen re-signed earlier.
6 years, $5.5 million, I think. And
the
then
Penguins did. Go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, no, you were going to say it. They made a trade, didn't they?
Yeah, I was just saying they returned to practice today.
Oh.
No, they did make a trade for some minor leaguers. Corey Avandowski was traded away.
The other way.
Somebody, yeah, he was going the other way. I can't remember who. It was going who came back and returned. But the Penguins today, they recalled Emil Benstrom and Joel Blomqvist from Wilkes-Barre. Christian Jarry has been reassigned to Wilkes-Barre as we expected. They did return to practice today at Cranberry. Evgeny Malkin and Brian Rust both were on injured reserve heading into the break. Both were full participants in practice on Tuesday. Playing the parade. And the newly acquired this is the guy they picked up off waivers from Utah. Vladislav Kohli. Yeah, I'm not even.
I can't even help you with that one. Vladislav Kolyachonok.
Yeah,
I don't know where the syllables hit. Kolyachonok.
Yeah, he made his. He will. I'm assuming be making his debut on Saturday, but he had his first practice with the team on Tuesday. So another name to look out for, and we have a couple days to learn how to pronounce it, obviously. But he was a waiver wire pickup.
I gotta wonder why they got rid of a guy like him, because he's young. He has a little bit of an offensive touch. I don't want to go out of. I'm not trying to say he's I'm not trying to say he's a puck mover by any means. Yeah. But he can play both sides. Which is, if you can have a defenseman that can make those turns on their offhand and attack the puck and get back quick to close on gaps and they're on their off, like, that's a valuable defenseman. The Penguins over the many years, sometimes they've been blessed to have some players that are able to play their off wing super well. I saw you had like a highlight reel goal. I'm not expecting him to provide that kind of offense night in and night out, but kind of for a team like Utah, just looking at kind of the body of work and how old he is, I was curious as to why he would hit the waiver wire. Maybe they were hoping to sneak him through and no one would touch it. But there was actually another trade. This is who I was referring to. I forgot about that fella from Utah. But the Penguins traded Corey Andonovski for Matthias Laferriere. Yeah, I believe this is the brother of the Laferriere that is in LA. The LA Kings have a Laferriere. Okay. Yeah. I know nothing about this player. I literally have no scouting report on this guy. I just see a lot of comments saying, "Can we please not trade with St. Louis anymore?" I don't know. You got anything on this guy? You know anything about this Matthias Laferriere?
Don't really have a book on him. Nope.
Okay, well, we will find out eventually. But I don't know, Corey Andonovski, he's been in the Penguins system for quite a while, and I'm just wondering, just fell out of favor, or they're looking for maybe a bottom six guy for their farm team. But
it is Vladislav Kolyachonok.
Kolyachonok. Kolyachonok. Well, we'll have plenty of time to get used to saying that.
Definitely gonna butcher that.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna have to look at it.
Just call him Coley.
Yeah, that's fine. That's probably his nickname anyway, or Vladdy.
Dude, I guess we should touch, like, you just hope that Sid makes it through this tournament healthy, because, would you blame the guy if he got done with this tournament and he was like, I need to take some days off to get my wrist healed up? Because, like, I mean, this might be his playoff. Like, this might be like,
oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where the Penguins are at. Sullivan's going to come back to this team, and he's going to be walking up and down his bench, looking at his bench and being like, God, are you sure we have no one else?
He's going to be like, call up these kids from Wilkes-Barre. Let's get some.
Get Rucker up here. I need some Americans.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it definitely has been an entertaining tournament. I'm extremely happy with how it's played out, and I'm looking forward to the Olympics next year, obviously. But Thursday night should be a barn burner, a very exciting hockey game, and then Saturday, sadly, the Penguins are back.
Yeah, vacation's over.
It's gonna be again. I love Penguins hockey. Obviously, love talking about it. Going to be a complete wake up call when, at least it's against the Capitals. So maybe there'll be some fireworks. Who knows? But yeah, it's going to be a little bit adjusting coming from how exciting the Four Nations have been. But
dude, I saw a hilarious tweet that was like, "You're telling me we have to watch regular season hockey after this is over?" And it's just
like the playoffs. Like it feels like the playoffs. Like, you know how exciting even like the first round of the playoffs. Like constant hockey.
God, I love the first round of the playoffs.
It
might be the best time of year. It might be like one of the top times of year.
Yeah, like it's just a chance for all the upsets, all the chaos. And it's actually probably like, given like how beat up the teams are by the time you reach the conference final and the finals, it's probably like the most like exciting hockey because everybody's as healthy as they're going to be. Like obviously
everyone's trying to get that leg up too in the beginning.
Yeah.
They're trying to go up 2-0 on a team and they're going all out. Yeah, it's like, yes, like you said, it's kind of like, unfortunately, Penguins hockey will be back this weekend, but we will be there to cover it.
We will, yes.
I got nothing really left to touch on as far as the tournament goes. What's been said has already been said 1,000 times by now already, and the hockey fans will wait, and we were patiently waiting for puck to drop on Thursday night, which, like I said, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be a great game. You just hope everyone's healthy enough to compete and really give it, a chance to really kind of be like what it was in that round robin game.
Yeah, it's going to be super fun on Thursday night. We'll be here to talk about it afterwards. And then, of course, on Saturday, we'll be back to our Penguins coverage. And if anything happens in between there with the Penguins, we'll talk about it when we meet up again. So, Snail, if you don't have anything, I'm going to close this episode up. So, for Snail, I'm Robbie. Enjoy the game Thursday night. Get ready for some Penguins hockey to come back, and we will talk to you guys later this week.